Don't get me wrong, she was very pretty on the outside, but on the inside, that was a different story entirely. Her beautiful blonde hair did fall in perfect curls, but she made 5 maids redo it a dozen times each morning, just to be mean. And while she did have big blue eyes, they never twinkled with merriment. Instead, they glinted with malice and glared with anger. Her pretty mouth never smiled. It was too busy pouting, whining, and yelling. Since the day she was born, Priscilla was absolutely convinced that she was far superior to everybody, and she treated all her parents, subjects, and servants accordingly. She ordered them about day and night, making them run back and forth for her pleasure. She never said please or thank you. Instead, she stomped her feet, shook her fist, and complained about everything. Nothing was ever good enough. Her meals were too hot or too cold. Her dresses were too tight or too loose. The furniture was too hard or too soft, and so on. As you can well imagine, not only did Priscilla dislike everybody, but the feeling was definitely mutual. Priscilla's parents, the king and the queen, were very kind. They loved their subjects and moved them fairly. They were both extremely distressed about their only child's behavior and did all they could to improve her disposition. When Priscilla was a child, they hired the best storytellers, musicians to perform for her. They brought in other children for Priscilla to play with and filled their room with piles of toys. Priscilla was rude to the storytellers, broke the musicians' instruments, and chased away the children. She hoarded her toys and asked for more, but she never played with them. The king and queen became desperate. They even tried putting extra sugar into her meals, hoping to soothe her temper. But although the court dentist was pretty busy, nothing worked, as Priscilla's 16th birthday approached.
I'm at my wit's end. We have tried everything we could think of, and nothing has worked. Our daughter is awful. She will never be a good successor to the throne.
And no one will ever want to marry her, even for half the kingdom. Besides, she would never accept anyone as her husband anyway.
Before we give up, maybe we should consult our council once more. Perhaps someone has thought of a new idea. We can try.
And that's what they did. All the royal counselors gathered in the royal meeting hall to offer their advice on the vexing situation. They murmured knowledge of Adlai and scratched their heads wisely, but no one could think of anything to say. After 16 years, they were all out of ideas. Eventually, everyone realized that somebody would have to say something. One of the older counselors cleared his throat. He was retiring soon, and he felt he could take a little risk.
Let us approach this problem practically. For 16 years, we have been racking our brains to determine how to make Princess Priscilla more pleasant. Perhaps we should approach this dilemma from another angle. When is the princess most pleasant?
This was a difficult question. The princess was seldom in a good mood. Finally, after a lot of head scratching, one counselor said brightly,
"The princess seemed to be in a good mood when I saw her yesterday."
Well, what was she doing?
She was twisting the royal cat's tail.
the counselor wished he had kept his thoughts to himself.
Yes, well, thank you. That wasn't exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, what's the use? Priscilla is only as pleasant when she was asleep.
Aha, that is interesting. Sleep is known to have curative and soothing powers. Maybe all the princess needs is a nice long sleep.
What do you mean?
Priscilla sleeps quite well, even if the bed is never made to her satisfaction. When I say long sleep, I mean a really long sleep, one that may last for years, if necessary.
For years? How is that possible?
Well, we could have the court magician cast a spell that would make the princess sleep until her temperament, shall we say, mellows.
I guess that might work.
What if she never mellows? We can't just let her sleep forever.
I have it. The spell will work until either the princess becomes pleasant and happy, or until 100 years have passed. If she is still sleeping after 100 years, a prince will find her and poke her in ending the spell.
We will have to think about this for a while, no matter how terrible she is. Priscilla is still our daughter, and we have to do what's best for her.
After months of thinking and watching Priscilla briefly reduce everyone around her to tears by both cruel words and cruel action, the sad parents concluded that a long sleep was Priscilla's only hope.
We must
Let's
use
use the spindle.
It's our only hope.
Once they reached a decision, the king and queen had to find a way to carry it out.
Now that we have figured it out, what are we going to do? What should we do?
After consulting the court musician, they decided to throw Priscilla a sweet 16 party. They would present her with an enchanted spindle as one of her gifts. The careless princess was sure to prick herself, unleashing a spell. On the day of her birthday, Priscilla had a great time. She let all 5 of the maids who had helped her get ready pull their hair and made them change the dress about 20 times. On the way to the ballroom, she tripped the servants who were carrying trays of food for the dining table. They laughed nervously while they scrambled to pick up the golden dishes.
Ha ha ha.
She kicked her pet dog hard enough to send it flying across the room and snipped the blossoms off the flower arrangements. During the party, she continued to enjoy herself. While dancing, she stomped on her parents' feet with her spike heels, which she wore specifically for that purpose. When all the guests in their fancy clothes sat down to dinner, Priscilla began to spill red wine and throw food at everybody seated at the table. The guests were horrified, but said nothing. After all, she was the princess, and it was her birthday. The king and queen sat helplessly and watched while their daughter tormented the honored guests. They knew that if anyone reproached Priscilla, she would throw a tantrum. Finally, the time for opening gifts arrived. Priscilla ran to the pile of beautiful wrapped packages and began to rip the big rolls of paper. As she unwrapped each present, she made fun of it and of the person who gave it.
This present's dumb. Ew.
Naturally, nothing was good enough for her, and she did not fail to let everyone know it. Eventually, she opened the spindle.
A spindle? Whoever heard of a princess spinning? I certainly don't intend on spending any of my time on such a stupid activity. But I think I'll make good use of this sharp point. Yes, indeed, it will help me make my servants move faster. Ouch, yes, this will do just fine.
The king and queen made sure Priscilla was comfortably and beautiful dressed, that the room was warm and clean, and they visited her every day. As time passed, fewer people remembered Priscilla in the tower, and the wood became the center of many legends. The only true thing people remembered was Priscilla's great beauty. People added new elements to the story, creating fairies and jealous witches to make it more interesting. Someone even insisted that the princess was cursed because one fairy felt snubbed when she was not invited to her birthday party. About 100 years after Priscilla went to sleep, a prince was riding through the forest around the walls of the old castle. He had heard many stories about the beautiful and mysterious sleeping princess, and as he was rather conceited, he was sure that she was meant for him. Slowly Priscilla opened her eyes and stretched. Then she looked up and saw the prince gazing at her with love in his eyes. Without a second thought, she reached up and slapped the prince across his glowing, unsuspecting face. You see, Priscilla was not a morning person. The more astonished prince stumbled and fell backwards, and all the words he had composed flew out of his head. This was certainly not what he expected.
What in the world do you think you're doing? How dare you barge in my room and poke me? Guards! Guards!
As Priscilla's smooth forehead wrinkled with rage, her large blue eyes narrowed with hostility, and her round cheeks flushed an angry red. Her beautiful face turned down ugly. The prince crawled backwards toward the door, rolled down the stairs, jumped on his horse, and galloped away. He never told anyone what happened. He was sure no one would believe him, or that anyone would take his laugh at him. He rested his unhappy by the second. As she did so, one of the spindle's sharp ends pricked Priscilla's hand. Unfortunately for Priscilla, 100 years had not erased the spindle's magic. She began to feel very sleepy. She barely had time to climb back into bed before her eyes closed in a deep and peaceful slumber. Here ends the real story of Sleeping Beauty. As far as I know, she still sleeps in her tower in the forest, still beautiful and still unmellowed.